I, 37 male, divorced my wife, 35 female, after she got cancer and cheated. Original post. My ex-wife and I were married for 10 years when she got cancer at 33, stage 1 breast cancer. She had a hard time, but with surgery she got through it. I took time off work to look after her and was with her the entire time as we had moved away from our family. I noticed that she changed a lot after, which is expected after going through something so major. She wanted more from her life than just a 9-to-5 job, so ended up quitting to travel for a bit and just doing whatever she wanted. At first, I went with her because I wanted her to be happy, and this reminded me of her younger self. But that kind of lifestyle blew through our savings, so I went back to work and basically funded her new lifestyle. While it was exhausting, I didn't care that much because I loved her, and seeing her so happy and full of life after everything she went through was good enough for me. However, one day I heard her talking to her friend over the phone about not feeling satisfied with just me, and that she wanted to sleep with other people. I was shocked and didn't know what to do, especially since our intimate life had been much more active during that time. So hearing her say that was horrible. That evening she brought it up and said she wanted to be in an open marriage. By that point, I had enough time to think and realized there was no way I was okay with that. She explained that I was her first boyfriend and that she had never been with anyone before me. We met in high school, so she wanted to try being with other people. I told her straight that I was not okay with that. We argued for a while, but she eventually said she wouldn't do anything and that she was sorry. Fast forward, she lied, and I caught her a couple weeks later. So we divorced. It was hard, and I was completely broken during the whole thing, and it took me a long time to heal. I couldn't believe that after everything, she could do that to us and throw away 10 years of marriage. It's been nearly 2 years after the divorce now, and yesterday she contacted me through a friend asking to meet up. I was reluctant, but agreed. Seeing her again today brought back so many feelings. We small talked for a bit, then she asked me if I was seeing anyone. I said I wasn't, and then she started saying that divorcing me was the biggest regret of her life. After we separated, she went through a hard time and tried to fill my void by seeing multiple other people, but nothing worked. She then dropped a bomb that she wants to get back together with me. She had actually been asking around about me before this, and when she found out that I hadn't been with anyone since our divorce, she assumed I felt the same way. I left feeling dumbfounded and saying I needed time to think. I genuinely don't know what to do, because there's a part of me that wants to believe she did all that because of everything she went through. But at the same time, I don't think that's an excuse. Should I give her a chance to explain before I make a decision? Because I feel like I walked out on her before she could. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Don't put yourself through that, man. She made her decision a long time ago. What happens the next time she gets bored? Thank you for saying that. I went through the exact same thing. My ex-husband left me for another woman. It wasn't 6 months later that he came to me wanting to come back. My heart said yes, but my mind said no. I could not go through that pain again, as I had physical pain in my heart when it happened. The trust was broken, and I couldn't get it back. Yeah, she showed her true colors. Completely agree, and I hope she read all these responses. And if you are ex-wife of OP, just a question. Truly, how many guys did it take for you to realize what you did and why you want OP back? More than 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 200, 1,000? OP, if you were even going to think about it, ask her how many, as that might change your mind anyways. I normally did not care about a number, nor do I ask, but in this case, I do think it matters. In addition, ex-wife of OP, any of your friends who were complicit and encouraged your behavior should be removed from your life. So let me get this straight. You and her have been together since you were teenagers. Y'all built a life together. You literally nursed her through the toughest time of her life. She then gets the notion that she hasn't gotten enough out of life? But the enough was other men? So she asked to open the marriage, which most likely was in bad faith because he caught her cheating not long after. So who knows how long she was doing it? Y'all divorce and she proceeds to screw whoever her heart desires, just to realize that none of them cared about her nowhere near the way you did. So now she wants you to come back after she has had her fill in the streets and manipulate her way back into your life. And you're asking if you should hear her side of things? Well, ask yourself this. Would she be able to say anything that would undo what she has done to you? Would she be able to say anything that would make you be able to trust and believe in her again? Is there any explanation she could offer that would keep you from being insecure the next time she begins to act differently? If not, then I would save myself the anguish and go about your life and work towards happiness. Good luck, OP. You forgot the part where he worked to fund her world travel and her adventures without him because one of them had to work to fund her. Imagine how many dudes she was banging while traveling on his dime. What a scumbag. She was just trying to fill the void. Now for the update. I really didn't expect this many people to reply. To cut things short, she found out. I forgot she was an active user of this sub, and the events lined up enough for her to know it was me. I woke up to a message from her this morning. She said that she saw and was so sorry. After seeing what I wrote, she got to see my side of things. But the thing is, she really didn't. What I put out here is a fraction of what I felt and went through, so she'll never really know. She also said that cancer is a life-changing thing, and the fact that I stuck with her would be something she was eternally grateful for. The whole thing terrified her, and it changed her as a person. And one day when she woke up next to some dude and looked over and realized she had become a completely different person, one that she didn't recognize, she realized what she had done and how badly she messed up. At first, she didn't want to contact me because she knew that would be selfish. But then, she didn't want to live with regret by never trying, in case there was ever a chance I would forgive her. She's willing to wait forever if it means I could forgive her. She also asked why I hadn't been with anyone since her, and a lot of you mentioned the same. To be honest, I didn't actively try with other people because I didn't want to bring all this baggage into a new relationship, especially not before I had tried to fix my issues. And I think this is a good closure for me. After seeing a lot of your replies, I know there isn't really a chance for me to forget what she did. But I do want to forgive her as a way to move on, and I messaged her all this before replying here. Next story. My 31 male, soon-to-be ex-wife 28 female wants to talk about us. But I feel like it's too late now. I 31 male, am divorcing my future ex 28 female. It has been a very long and painful process. We've been together for 9 years, married for 7, and the last 3 we've been separated. During our marriage, she never really treated me like I was her husband. Her parents and family always came before me. No matter what I would say or do, she wouldn't change. A few examples are, when I had broken my leg/foot, she yelled at me for days to clean out the garage until I did, even though I physically couldn't walk on my leg. Or making me walk to get my car out of the shop because she couldn't wait 15 minutes to go to her mom's house. If she didn't take me, I wasn't able to get in my car. Those are just 2 of many similar situations. For years, I begged her to start treating me like her partner, and not just an accessory. I was always open with how things affected me, and I would put aside time to talk to her about things. I'm not one to hold things in and let them build up. So I told her that if the behavior continues, I would file for divorce. The worst part is being with someone that makes you feel alone. And I just can't handle that type of relationship. She swears she's worked on it, but that's only after 3 years of being separated, and we're coming up on a final hearing. I feel bad, because due to her religion she can't be remarried, and I just can't put my mental health at risk again. What would you guys do in this situation? I would tell her that is too little too late, and that you no longer want her in your life in any capacity. Any future problems she has are, to be honest, not your problem at all. They are the result of her unwillingness to be a decent partner. Yep, OP was in an abusive relationship and deserves better. OP, if you see this, be sure to set boundaries from the start and don't tolerate any crossing of lines. Some people get way too comfortable walking on others without any consideration. Do you know that she's asking to reconcile? Is that something she's brought up in the recent past? That seems very unlikely 3 years into separation. She was asking for a lot of money and she didn't end up getting anything really. I told her if she truly wanted to reconcile, she could have done that during the divorce agreement. Instead, she was trying to squeeze as much money out of me as she could. I feel like that's the only reason she's trying to. Up until this point, I was leaning towards maybe her viewpoint had changed and circumstances will force her to grow up. And then this. Move on. As a remarried man to a different woman, I know there's a large stigma to have to work through, but your soon-to-be ex-wife isn't worth the investment on your part any longer. She's remorseful now not because she accepts her wrongdoing, but because she needs a punching bag again. She's probably realized that she's not going to find someone else who will take her abuse, and that's exactly what she did to you. So she wants to drag you back into her trap. You did well to leave. Keep going and don't look back. P.S. It says a lot about her character that her religion doesn't approve of divorce, but is seemingly okay with spousal abuse. Last story. My husband, 42 male, told me 36 female he wasn't ever attracted to me, but married me because he would have felt bad ending it. We've been together for 6 years and married for 4. No kids. For context, I'd be described as conventionally attractive and I'd take care of myself. I'm fit, athletic, well-educated, and have a fun personality. I think it's important to mention that, since there's no glaring issue for him to feel this way. My husband is successful, charming, and the type of person who gets along with everyone. Shortly after we married, we relocated from Canada to Europe for his work. I supported this and gave up a job I liked. That was essentially my career, my friends, and a city I felt really home in. Now I'm in a foreign country where I only speak the local language at a low level, trying to build my own business and have very little of a support system. I'm too embarrassed to tell my friends about this whole situation. This is where it gets interesting. On multiple occasions, he's apologized for our lack of romantic life. There isn't one to speak of, and rarely has been since we've been together. He's told me it's not normal for him, and it was different with other women in the past. He's used to being with really beautiful women. He's also said recently that he was never attracted to me in that way, but didn't want to break up with me when we first started dating. I told him he should have ended it then, because now I live a lie and gave up everything to support him. But he just suggested we have an open relationship if I wanted to meet other men, and he would even pay for a male escort. He used an old iPhone of mine a few years ago and never logged out of his iCloud. I see that he still screenshots pictures of his ex from IG. He also believes that no one is really happy in their marriage, and that romantic love is not something that lasts long term. I don't know what to do. I had to give up my job to support his career, but I never thought it would come to this. I can't support myself with my new job yet, and I don't come from a wealthy family, while he's very successful financially. My family and friends love him and think he's the perfect guy. From the outside, we're the perfect couple, but the reality is a disaster that I battle every day. My self-esteem and confidence have taken a nosedive. I could just ignore everything and live a comfortable life, but I would be living a lie. And he thinks we should stay together because we get along in every other way. I know no relationship is perfect, but this is so far beyond normal that I'm not sure how to deal with it. I've suggested therapy, but he says that doesn't work. He wants to stay together and basically stay as partners. So, anyone been through this or have advice? Take some of the money's offering for you to hire escorts and buy a one-way ticket home. Re-establish your career and make a life for yourself. Why would you want to stay with somebody who regrets marrying you? You deserve better. This is one thing that really bothers me. Him offering that is like saying she can't have someone if she's not paying. That's sick. For me, he is trying to break her confidence so she doesn't leave, and he can have the face of the perfect marriage without having to actually be in a relationship. There is no emotional support. He's being cruel. For me, he is trying to break her confidence. Yes, his comments sound like negging, or like the bashes people with severe narcissistic trait do. His statements likely aren't even true, but a tactic to bring her down. She's in a foreign country, somewhat isolated, without funds or a career, and now he attacks her self-esteem. OP, run if you can. If you are in Germany and feel comfortable, please feel free to contact me, and I'll take a look with you what your options here may be. Please keep in mind that those tactics, isolation, financial independence, attacking your self-esteem can be a warning sign for domestic abuse. These things do not necessarily lead to physical harm, but no physical harm without those things. Don't go looking for a way to stay with them, especially no therapy. Therapy with people that hit so low verbally will only lead to them having more fodder to attack your self-esteem, or even Darvo in therapy speak. Please find a will to leave. A way will show up then. If you stay, you'll be giving up on yourself. You'd be giving up the possibility of ever being with anyone who thinks you're beautiful. You'd be giving up on finding someone who feels lucky to have you. Don't settle for a settler. I agree with this. Opie, you're 36, so we are close in age, and it's never too late to start over again. Your whole marriage is a lie, and these years have been wasted. But don't deny yourself the chance of a better future. Please don't give up on yourself, Opie. I was going to add too, that 36 is not too old at all to start over. Divorced my first husband at 35 and just married the love of my life at 45. I'm 46 and couldn't be happier. Future you will appreciate you ending things now. Me too. I was 40 when I left my first husband after 16 years. Long story, but I was miserable because of how he treated me. We had 2 little kids. I was married and never felt so alone. I met my soulmates and remarried at 43. I'm 48 now, and life is grand. It was hard in the beginning financially and emotionally, but it was so worth it. Am I the a-hole for having a celebration dinner after my brother's divorce? My brother just got his divorce finalized. No one in the family liked his wife, as she was not a nice person. Like she'd ask for ideas on what to spend his money on. Was the type of person that celebrated her birthday for 2 weeks and expected everyone to do the same. There were many arguments over that, when people in our family didn't show up for each and every event she planned or wore the shirts she'd make for her birthday. She would interrupt when people were talking to talk about herself, then would go running to our mother anytime she asked for something, and my brother told her no. The tipping point was when our mother was going through chemo. She had issues with her feet swelling and would elevate them while resting on a couch. The one time we all came to visit, my brother brought his wife, and she just took the pillow out from under Mom's feet to use it in the chair she was in because she was tired. But aside from expressing our concerns when they first started dating, we never said anything to him and tolerated her for his sake to not push him away and just griped amongst ourselves. But now they're divorced. The day that it was finalized, I took my brother out for dinner and invited some of our friends that hadn't been able to see him because of his wife. While we were at a restaurant, I toasted this new chapter in life, and someone said, "Real classy." And it turned out one of ex-sister-in-law's friends now works at a restaurant. We finished our dinner, left, went out for a while longer, then went home. And while watching a show with my wife, my phone was going off with notifications. All messages from my ex-sister-in-law chewing me out for celebrating their divorce. Since my wife wanted to know who was messaging me, I showed her the messages, and she's of mind that while she understands why no one liked my ex-sister-in-law, celebrating their divorce and toasting it was a prick move. She thought I had been exaggerating when I said I was taking my brother out to celebrate. It's been a few days now, and my wife is still shaking her head at me over it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. There could have been balloons and cake, but you kept it low-key. It's not your fault ex-sister-in-law's friend grassed you up. Block her and move on. The only way you would have been the a-hole would have been if your brother didn't want to celebrate like he's feeling down, sad, etc. and you decided to turn it into a celebration because you didn't like his ex. It doesn't matter if his ex was a wonderful person. If your brother is happy the divorce is finally over and you want to be there to help him celebrate, then that's great. If it were me, I would go to the sister-in-law's friend's workplace and let them know that Opie's being harassed because she saw them at her place of business. Also, post it on their Yelp page / Google reviews and named a friend. Not the a-hole. You should have gotten t-shirts made and celebrated for 2 weeks. Do this, then go back to that same restaurant, maybe even for 2 weeks. Not the a-hole. Why is your ex-sister-in-law able to contact you, as much as you don't like her, and have her blocked ages ago? Lol. I don't use my Facebook often, so I completely forgot about it. She's blocked now. Out of genuine curiosity, for my own selfish personal reasons, did your brother ever say why he liked this woman in the first place? Like, did she flip the script after they got married? No, she was like that before they got married. His reasoning was that she was always sweet to him when they worked together. And one, he thought her ragging on him about his friends, hobbies, and style of dress was her wanting the best for him, so they could have a family someday. And 2, she always told him about how her previous relationships were all abusive. So he wanted to do anything to help her and be good to her. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to continue paying rent when I buy my own house? My boyfriend, 31 male, bought a house this year, which is an unprecedented achievement in our country. He earns 5 or 6 times more than I, 27 female, do, and we usually split everything 50-50. But lately I've been calling attention to the fact that I'm supporting more expenses, but I gave him a discount since he was going to buy a house. Just recently he bought a house and has asked me to move in with him. However, he's also asked me to pay a symbolic rent, which is essentially the same amount I'm currently paying for rent elsewhere. Additionally, even though he's hired someone to clean the house, I know that I'll still be responsible for a lot of domestic tasks. At first, I suggested that I pay for all the utility bills, such as electricity, gas, water, and internet, as well as food expenses. But he didn't agree, and we had a disagreement about it. Eventually, I agreed with him that it would be simpler to just pay a fixed amount, instead of splitting the bills and creating any entropy. The discussion has become more intense now, because I mentioned that I will be able to buy a house by the end of the year. I explained that it wouldn't make sense for me to continue paying him rent if I have my own place, and suggested that we find a solution that works for both of us. However, he thinks he is being overly generous, and he says that I would still be benefiting by paying that amount. Since I've been with him, I have had very high expenses, and I've told him several times that I can't keep up with his lifestyle and that he should support some costs, at least half, because I currently don't have the capacity to handle both expenses. He works very hard to make real money, and from the start of our relationship, I have been the one taking care of the domestic chores, cooking for him and helping out with grocery shopping. When we go out to eat, we split the bill, and I don't mind doing all this for him because he is amazing. He expressed gratitude for my efforts, but also stated his hope that I wasn't doing them expecting financial gain. He went on to share his vision for the future, stating his preference for separate accounts and everything being kept separate. He suggested that I live in his house by paying rent to assist him with his credit, but emphasized that the house would always remain his property. He also mentioned that even with children, he would like everything to be equally divided. I explained to him that I can't keep up with his lifestyle, as I won't earn as much as he does. However, he became skeptical and hurt, implying that I'm only with him for his money, and calling me an idiot for not understanding the situation and now not seeing things as they are. My friends have told me that he's taking advantage of me and that I'm just a convenience for him for now, and I'm starting to wonder if they're right. Should we be more individualistic in our approach to finances, or should we work together to build a good life and acquire property? Am I the one being unreasonable here? Not the a-hole. He is taking advantage of you. He is treating you like a live-in bangmaid, and on top of that, expects you to pay for the privilege. Not the a-hole, OP. Carry on with buying your house, and let your soon-to-be ex-boyfriend find someone else to pay towards his bills. He's treating you like a maid/lodger with benefits. You need a partner who values you. I always wanted to live in my own space, because at least when the nonsense happens, I could go back to my own sanctuary and not be stressed with a crapola. My boyfriend never understood that, and of course, we did not marry. Not the a-hole, and you need to run. Run far and run fast. This man, who makes 5 to 6 times as much as you, expects you to share equally in an investment where he reaps all the benefits. This is wholly unfair, and he is taking financial advantage of you. He is the one who doesn't understand the situation. You are together for a relationship, for the long haul, while he is in it for a financial reward. Please don't let his double talk dissuade you from moving on and finding somebody who values you for your worth, and not how much you can contribute to their financial stability. All of this, complete double talk and BS, where he gets to usually benefit financially and she doesn't. Then it makes 5 to 6 times more than her and makes her split the dinner bill every time? Hell no, he's a greedy jerk. So you helped him buy a house by supporting him, but he's not helping you buy a house by supporting you? Not the a-hole if I'm understanding correctly. Her boyfriend is milking her dry, and it's like she doesn't even realize it. He's basically using her to pay his mortgage, hence why he wants her to keep paying rent. He doesn't care how much money she has, as long as he gets to keep his own cash. I hope Opie wakes up and see what he's doing. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife's siblings she's not their mother and they are no longer children? My wife is the oldest in her family by 9 years, and she was subjected to being a parent figure to her younger siblings by her parents who were crappy and uninvolved parents to all 4 of them. Only difference was, while my wife was forced to raise herself, she was forced to raise her siblings, and she struggled with that. Her siblings view her as their mother. She did make sure they were okay, but once she was 18, she refused to be all they had, and they went into foster care due to the environment they were living in. My wife was forced to drop out of high school at 16 because she found it too much to handle and failed all her classes. Then at 18, she decided she needed to fight for her own future. This is part of why she made a decision to call CPS instead of raising her siblings. She got her GED and she got a degree at a community college. We met while she was in the middle of doing this. She told me all about her childhood and how tough it was for her. She did see her siblings and stayed in their lives, though they were sadly separated in foster care. But they are now 21, 22, and 24 years old and still see my wife as their mother. They were jealous when our children were born, and my wife had to remove them from her life for a couple of years because they were angry at her for being a better mother to our first child than she was to them. Contact has been back for a little over a year now, but they have not really changed. They made my wife feel guilty for pushing them aside instead of working on things. But then they make comment after comment about the effort she goes to for our kids and how she never did that for them, and said it was hurtful to call our son her oldest child when she has them. My wife has told me she doesn't know what to do because their childhoods messed up their perception of her, and I told her I would speak to them the next time. So they stopped by Easter Sunday and were saying to my wife they wanted her to get photos done with them and our kids to show she's mom of all of them and they are just as much her kids as our children are. I told them to stop, that their sister is not their mom, she's their sister. She was a child just like they were, and they are no longer children and they need to start treating my wife as their sister and not their mother who owed them a certain childhood. They told me I have no idea what I am talking about and stormed out. This was the first time they left, and my wife looked so relieved. But her siblings gave her a hard time afterward. Am I the a-hole? Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. You articulated something she'd been wanting to say for a long time in a way the siblings could understand. Good job. They don't like it. But the truth is, your wife gave up parts of her childhood to take care of them. Nobody got the childhood they deserved. Hopefully someday they'll understand everyone lost in this situation and how lucky they were to have her around when they did. Wish you guys the best. Honestly, it would have been much harsher, but the tact you showed makes you not the a-hole. Not the a-hole? Wow. This entire post is just disturbing. 3 adults can't seem to comprehend that their sister is not their mother is mind-boggling. They all obviously need some serious therapy, and your wife needs some distance. Kudos for having her back. I agree. One of my childhood friends was heavily parentified. She gave up her childhood to care for her mother, and then the 3 younger siblings her mother went on to have. It was heartbreaking to watch her try to hold together the family, starting at the age of 10. I know that my own mother reached out to authorities, who didn't do anything about it, and then provided us much additional help as she could as a single mother herself. My friend is super close with her sibs, but as much as she tried to shield them from their horrible situation, they recognized that it was not normal. They were kids too, so they weren't perfect. They all pitched in to make sure my friend could get as much as an education as possible, and they actually go above and beyond to show their gratitude every day. She's the only real mother they had, but they honor her sacrifices and love her for everything she did. The siblings of the OP do get some pity from me, as all of them grew up in a horrible situation that was beyond their control. But they're adults now. Surely they can see that what they are pushing for is wrong and unhealthy? Surely they are capable of understanding that punishing the sibling, who was forced to care for them as a child herself, is a twisted sense of logic and entitlement. As children, they may have had a past for being too young to see the situation for what it was, but as adults now themselves, they suck. Last story. Am I the a-hole for leaving my brother without childcare over a heater? Some backstory. I live with my 35-year-old brother and his wife and 4 kids. 3 girls, 1 boy, and all 4 and under. I'm basically a live-in nanny for them, and I live in their house rent-free because I don't have a job, while both my brother and his wife work. When they first got pregnant, they asked me to move in with them, with a promise that they would pay me for childcare. Well, that only lasted a month, and they proceeded to have 3 more kids in the process. I never complained because I do live in their house rent-free, and I know he really needed help. Well, They recently came into money trouble, and they now owe an insane amount of money. And they have both been working extra hours to make up what they owe. Now on to what happened. It's been really cold lately, and because of that, the house has been really cold. To turn on the heaters is a process, and I don't know how to do it. So my brother has been turning them all on, except for my room. My room is now the coldest in the house, and I can't sleep at night even with all the thickest blankets. I get pain when I'm cold, so I'm up all night in pain. I've been exhausted watching 4 kids by myself all day, so I have been asking my brother to turn my heater on, but he keeps saying he'll get to it. Well, a week ago he told me that he was never turning mine on because he needs to keep the bills down. I asked him if I just have it on at night and turn the ones in the main room off during the night. And he said no, that it's his house and he'll do whatever pleases in his house. And I don't get a say because I don't help financially. I didn't say anything to him right away. I just texted my mom and asked if she could pick me up. After she said she could, I told him that my mom was coming, and I'll see if someone can come pick up my stuff soon. He asked me what I meant, and I only told him that he needs to find someone else to watch his kids. Either get a nanny or one of them quits, because I am not doing it anymore. He told me that I was being dramatic, and that'll give me time to calm down. I said I didn't need time, and he told me to think of the kids and how they're super attached to me. I said I'll still see them with a parent present, because I don't plan on babysitting anymore. At this point, his wife is trying to defuse the situation, and my mom showed up and I asked if it was okay for me to move back in with her, and she agreed and said she'll have my stepdad come pick my stuff up tomorrow. My brother has been blowing up my phone since, and he told our dad, so now he's blowing up my phone too. My dad texted me asking how I could abandon them knowing they're struggling. I feel bad because I did abandon them, but I couldn't do it anymore. So am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They're abusing you, at least financially. I didn't know it was possible to abuse someone financially. I don't really know what that means. Opie, they're using you as a slave. Your dad can go move into their icy room and watch 4 kids for free if it's so important. Suggest it to him. Otherwise, get your stuff and never go back. They'll try all the usual stuff. Yelling, pleading, begging, threatening. But don't cave. They need you. You don't need them. Not the a-hole. You did live there rent-free, but it's kind of messed up for him to not turn on your heater at night, especially because you were in pain. I don't see why he would treat you like that, especially because you took care of his kids. You'd think your health would also have been a priority? I have rheumatoid arthritis, and it flares up when I'm cold. My brother knew this because he was there when I was diagnosed at 16. He always seemed like he cared, and I realize now he didn't.